Hi everyone, my name is Tony Janae. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing extremely lovely. So I'm super excited. This video is the last installment to my adoption series, and I'm a little under the weather, so I sound kind of manlier than usual, but I have to film this video because this is how it all comes together. This video is going to be on how I met my birth father and my dad's side of the family. So this is pretty interesting. I'm going to try to explain this as best as I can, but I'll just go ahead and get right into it so that I don't make this video too long. Basically, when I was, I don't know, like 8 years old probably, maybe a little younger, I'm not sure, but we used to go to what's called rock and skate at our mall. And basically rock and skate was the cool thing to do. And when we were there, we would see this boy, me and my brothers, we would see this boy that looked just like my brother Paris, who I was adopted with. And this little boy looked just like him. It was so scary. We would tell him all the time, we'd be like, that is your long lost brother, like you guys are related, you know what I mean? And Paris would be like, shut up, and we're like, no, seriously, like he looks just like you. And we'd go home and we'd tell our mom, we'd be like, Mom, Paris's long lost brother is at the rock and skate. And she would just be like, oh, shut up, like what do you guys know? And then one day she actually came to pick us up from rock and skate, and she saw the little boy and she thought it was Paris. So she just like freaked out. She's like, oh my gosh, that little boy looks just like Paris. And we were like, that's what we've been telling you, Mom, duh. And she just was too freaked out by it, so she did what grown folks do, and she meddled, and she found out that that little boy is actually Paris's older brother, his birth brother. So me and Paris are half siblings, so that makes sense to you. Me and Paris have the same moms, but we have different dads. So this is Paris's brother on his dad's side, and we found out that that little boy was Paris's brother, so he stayed with his birth family. He wasn't adopted, but we're just gonna call him Andrew. So let's just say his name's Andrew, right? So that's how Paris and Andrew meet, and I won't go into that because that's not really my family, you know what I mean? So I won't like divulge any of that, but the reason I'm telling you is because it comes into play in my life like 10 years later. Okay, so fast forward 10 years later, I'm 18, and this is where the story gets really interesting, like almost trippy interesting, so pay attention and I'm gonna try to explain it as well as I can. So basically, me and my best friend wanted to move to California, so keep that in mind, but we went to a frat party, and this whole night was filled with coincidences. Like, for example, I was wearing this like Playboy bra and panties, and I was like, I have to go hot tubbing tonight. I don't know how or where, but I'm getting in a hot tub. Like, I have to show these off. They look so cute. And then also, like, my best friend had a red shirt, and she was like, you should wear this tonight. And I was like, ew, why? Like, I used to never wear red. Like, red just isn't my color. So I was like, she was like, you should wear this tonight. I was like, no. She was like, no, seriously, you look so bomb, you have to wear it. So I ended up wearing the shirt. I was like, okay, fine, I'll wear it. So we go to this frat party, and we weren't even gonna be able to get in, but we ended up knowing a guy at the door who like let us in. It was really just, the whole night just was trippy. So we go to the frat party, and that's where my ex-boyfriend, who like I didn't know, he was a stranger at the time, he seen me in the frat party, and we all ended up getting kicked out because there was a fight. So he like missed his opportunity to talk to me, because later, knowing now, he told me that he saw me inside, but he thought I was like super bougie, so he didn't even want to try me. So he missed his opportunity because I did not see him inside. So me and Ahan, we go outside after everyone gets kicked out, and we're standing on the street corner because her boyfriend was late. Like, coincidentally, her boyfriend was late to pick us up. So we're standing on the street corner, like his ass is never on time. But my ex-boyfriend, who was my boyfriend, came walking by, and he like built up enough courage to say hi to me. And I hear somebody like say, I want the one in the black, and that was Alhan was wearing black. And then someone was like, no, I want the one in the red. And like I like thought, I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's me, I'm wearing red. And I turned to my left and I like seen my boyfriend, and I was like, who the fuck is that? Like, I've never seen anyone like him before. Like, he was just so unique looking to me that I was just instantly like intrigued, and like the moonlight was like hitting him, girl. Like, he just looked so fine. So I was just like, who are you? You know what I mean? So we ended up exchanging numbers, and he was like, what are you doing after this? I was like, I'm gonna go to this after party. So he leaves, and then Alhan's boyfriend comes to pick us up, and Alhan ended up ditching me. She's like, I'm not even gonna go out tonight. I was like, what, bitch? No. Like, there were some strong vibes in the air. Like, I was like, I cannot go home tonight. I have to go out. Like, so I ended up going out by myself, which I never do. But like I said, the vibe was just too strong. I had to go. So I ended up going to the frat party, texting dude. I was like, yeah, I'm at this frat party. And then he ended up beating me there, which was really weird. But I was like, okay, hi. And it was crazy because me and him took a picture together. And within that picture, like, we looked at the picture after we took it, because we were both just like bougie, you know, and we look at the picture and we realized we were matching. Like, our outfits, we both had like black, red. He had a red hat on, a Bob Marley shirt. Like, we were just matching from head to toe. It was so trippy. Like, the picture looked like we knew each other for like 15 years, but really we knew each other for 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, we just met, but in that picture we looked like we knew each other forever. It was so trippy. And then he was like introducing me to all his friends, and one of his friends was like, after parties at my house, and I was like, no, I'm trying to go hot tubbing tonight. Like, do you have a hot tub? And he was like, yeah, I have a hot tub. I was like, whoa, what? Like, it was just so crazy. So we all ended up going to his house. I'm like, party at his house. So we all ended up going over to his house and hot tubbing the whole night. I got to show off my bra and panties. Like, it was just the night, just everything was working out so perfect. Like, it was so weird, but it was the perfect night. It was the best night of my life. Back then, I've had better nights, but you know what I mean. It was just a really good night. So anyways, me and him ended up talking after that. Like, we became inseparable, and he actually ended up getting into some legal trouble and had to go away. So I won't give any of that information away or anything, but that's all public knowledge. He had to go to jail. So he went away, and we actually ended up getting into a fight. So we were not dating, but I was like still his friend while he was locked up. So I went out one night. I ended up by myself. Like, fast forward 2 months later, I ended up by myself again. And me and him, like I said, we're not dating, but we're still kind of communicating. I still have feelings for him or whatever. And I'm out by myself, and this guy comes up to me and he starts like hollering at me, you know, like, he's like, hey, what's up? I'm like, you know, nothing. My name's Tony Janae. He told me his name was Scott. So I was like, oh, okay. And I'm just making that up, you know what I mean? His name's not Scott, but he was like, my name's Scott. So I was like, oh, it's nice to meet you. He's like, yeah, but I don't have, my phone's broke, so I can't put your number down. You can take mine. So I took his number down. But like I said, I was like dealing with my ex, my boyfriend, you know? So I didn't ever text Scott. Like, I never saw Scott again, never talked to him again. Okay, so now fast forward to that winter. So this was the summertime. We're fast forwarding to the winter time now. Me and my best friend, we go out to the hookah bar. We're, you know, at the bar chilling, vibing, and me and my boyfriend are dating at this time, finally. So then Scott walks into the bar, this guy that I haven't seen in forever. So he walks in the bar, he sits down next to me, and he's like, hey. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's you. He's like, hey, it's you. And he's like, can I please borrow your phone? And I was like, what the fuck, your phone's still broke? Like, I don't know if his phone was still broke, but it was just funny to me. I was like, dang, like, you still don't have a fucking phone? Okay, here. And so I give him my phone, and he's like making a call or something, and my best friend and our other friend was there, and they were like, oh my gosh, Andrew is so fucking fine. They were like, he looks just like Paris. And I like overhear them, but I wasn't really paying attention because I'm like watching this guy Scott on my phone. So we end up leaving the bar, and my best friend and her friend was in the back seat. And she was like, oh my gosh, I cannot get over how much Andrew looks like Paris. Like, he is so fine. And I turned around, I'm like, bitch, why the fuck do you keep talking about Andrew? Like, I haven't heard that name since I was 8 years old, like 10 years ago. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, that's so random. Why do you keep talking about him? And she's like, what do you mean? How's that random? Like, he was just inside the bar. And I was like, what? I didn't see him. Like, where was he? And she was like, bitch, what are you talking about? You didn't see him. He was just using your phone. And I was just like, wait, whoa. Like, I was just in shock. I was like, wait, what? I was like, no, that's Scott. She's like, yeah, Scott's his nickname, but his name is Andrew. And I just like freaked the fuck out because she's older than us, so is Andrew. So they went to school together, so she knew him. So she's like, that's his nickname, bitch. His name's Andrew. I was like, wait. That motherfucker's been trying to holler at me. I was like, bitch, turn around, get your ass back to the bar. I have to talk to him because that's my brother's brother. So I like go back to the bar. He wasn't at the bar. It was super unfortunate. But I was just like irate at this moment in time, so I ended up calling the number that he called on my phone, and I was just like, hello, like, is Andrew there? I need to talk to him. And he like answered the phone. He's like, hello. Like, he probably thought I was trying to holler at him or something, you know, but I was like, I'm your fucking sister. Like, that's what I said. He was like, what the like, what are you talking about? But I was like, no, like, I'm Paris's sister. Like, he's like, not by blood, because you know, black people, we be claiming everybody. And I'm like, no, like, blood, like, that is my blood brother. And he was like, who's your mom? I was like, my mom's Laverne. He just like flipped shit. He's just like, no, like, he was dying, I was dying. Like, we were kind of laughing about it because it was just really funny. Like, we're not related or anything, but ew, like, we don't do that over here, you know what I mean? So that's my brother's brother. Like, he is family to me. So it was just like crazy that I did not recognize him at all. Like, obviously, you know what I mean? I did not recognize him because last summer, you know, or the summer, he was trying to holler at me. I put his number in my phone. Like, ew. Like, it was just so gross. But this is a little side note here. I would say, like, the thing that pisses me off the most about at my birth dad and my birth mom is that reason in particular, because it's not like I was born in a different country and taken away. Like, I'm around these people that I, you know, was adopted away from, you know what I mean? So, and I didn't know it, obviously. At the time, I had no idea that these people are my family. Like, I ended up going to high school with some of my cousins, my girl cousins, my guy cousins. Like, I flirt with some of my cousins before. Like, had no idea. Like, one of my cousins in particular that I flirted with at the bar one time, like, he was like, oh, I'm just in town for a little bit visiting my family is up in Chicago. I'm just visiting my family here in Iowa. And like, he like, you're talking about my family, like, we're family, you know. Obviously we didn't know it at the time, but you think about it, and to me that's so sick and disgusting. Like, the fact that I flirted with them, like, thank God nothing ever happened or anything, so I'm like not worried, but it's just, it's gross if you think about it. Like, you took that away from me, you know what I mean? Like, you took the chance for me to get to know these people, or even know, like, that's my fucking cousin. Like, we don't do that shit, you know what I mean? I'm not so much mad about it anymore, but when I first found out that, like, I was related to this person, this person, this person, this person, I was just like, oh my gosh, are you serious? So anyways, back to the story. So we find out I'm Paris's sister. We like freak out or whatever, but we let that go. So me and him end up staying in touch, and we added each other on Facebook. So then fast forward to the next year, Father's Day, I ended up going over to my boyfriend's dad's house, and my boyfriend was still in prison at the time, and so I ended up going over there just by myself. I was so comfortable with his family. It was weird. Like, we just all got along so well. Like, I told him and his brothers and his sisters, like, whenever I was around them, I felt like I was home. Like, I couldn't explain it. There was just like this vibe that I got, and I'm a big vibe person. I go off of vibes, so the vibe was always right whenever I was around. And basically I went over there for Father's Day, and his dad, that was like the first time his dad and I really like had a moment. But his dad like looked at me and he was like, you look so familiar. He was like, there's something so familiar about you. He's like, maybe it's your eyes. Like, he told me, like, he's like, maybe it's your eyes, I don't know what it is, but there's something so familiar about you. And I was like, yeah, you too. Like, this whole family, there's something familiar about you guys. And So it's Father's Day. I never celebrated a Father's Day day in my life, so I'm not really thinking. But I get on Facebook and I'm like, oh my gosh, Andrew's dad is my brother's dad. So I go creep on his page and he's like, happy Father's Day, you know, to my brother's dad. So I just start freaking out. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is my brother's dad, like Facebook. I need to start adding people. So I started adding like literally everybody on Facebook, like a little creep. I was like adding his dad's friends, his friends, like I was just adding everybody looking for my mom, because all I knew at this point was my mom's name, Laverne. So I just started looking and creeping and I never found anything. So a couple days go by and I check my DMs and there's a DM from Andrew's dad, my brother's dad, and was like, you look just like her. And that was all it said. And like instantly I was in bed and it was like at night and I'm just in bed alone, so like instantly I knew exactly who he was talking about. He was talking about my mom, like saying I look just like my mom. So I just like, I don't know, I just like died inside. I was just like, oh my gosh, because that was the first time anyone has ever said that to me. Like anyone's ever talked about my mom like they knew who she was, you know what I mean? Like that's his baby mama, so clearly he knows who she is. So it just was the first time I ever heard anyone that knew her really say anything to me. So I was just like so overwhelmed in that moment. And he was like, you're so beautiful, you look just like her. And so me and him started talking, but he had no idea where she was or whatever. But then another person messaged me and was like, oh Tony, you're so beautiful, thanks for the ad. And I was like, you're welcome, you know, you probably know who I am. And she was like, no, I don't know who you are, I just thought you were beautiful, who are you? And I was like, oh, I'm Andrew's dad, whose name is Andrew. Not really, their name's not really Andrew, but they have the same name, you know what I mean? So Andrew Sr., Andrew Jr. I was like, Andrew Sr. is Paris's dad, which is my brother. And she's like, oh my gosh, she's like, you're Tony, like Tony. And I was like, I don't know what that means, but yeah. She's like, no, I know your mom. And so I was just like, whoa. And then she goes, and I know your dad. And like when she said she knew my dad, that was what really got me interested, because I, at this point, like if you watch my first video, you know, I had no idea who my father was. My mom was a prostitute, she did a lot of shit, you know what I mean? So they were like, Tony will probably never know who her dad is. So I was like, wait, like, you know my dad? Like I've never even thought about my dad before. And she's like, yeah, I know your dad, like his name's Tony too. And I was like, okay, like that makes sense, you know what I mean? So me and her just get to talking, and she had me meet her at Walgreens so she could print off some pictures for me. So she shows me pictures, like I'm seeing my parents for the first time outside of Walgreens. She's like showing me pictures of them, and like my first thought, I looked at my mom and I was like, I do not look like her. Like that was like my first thought. I was like, I don't look anything like her. And like my dad, like he looks so different now, but like the pictures she showed me, like it was just like the ultimate throwback pictures. So I was like, I look nothing like these people. Like that was my first thought. But her husband was there when I got the pictures, and he was like, I actually know your dad, like I have his number, you know, like can I tell him that you're here, you know? And I was like, yeah, sure, go ahead, you know what I mean? I never thought about my dad before ever in life. So I was like, yeah, I was like really excited. I was like, yes, tell him. And so my dad ended up texting me and calling me, so we talked on the phone for quite a bit before we actually met in person. But that's how I met my dad, through Facebook. And I found out that I had a sister and a brother, and I ended up meeting them. So that's how I met them. But meanwhile, this is where it gets a little weird. So meanwhile, I'm telling my boyfriend's family about this. My boyfriend, obviously, like, oh my gosh, I'm meeting my dad, all this shit. My dad's name's Tony, Antoine, and my mom's Laverne. And then I'm like in the shower one night, and I get out of the shower and I have like 13 missed calls, and they're all from my boyfriend's mom. And I was like, my heart stopped. Like I get out the shower, I immediately call her back. I'm like thinking the worst. I think my boyfriend is like dead or something. Like I'm thinking like he got shanked in the prison cell. Like I'm just like, what the f is going on, you know? I'm like thinking like maybe something happened to one of the girls, like his sisters. I'm just like, what is happening right now? So I call her back, and let's just say her name's Claire, okay? So I'm like, Claire, like what's up? Like what's going on? And she's just belligerent. She's freaking out. She's like, oh my gosh, Tony, oh my gosh, Tony. I'm like, bitch, what is happening? I'm like, what? Like, speak, woman, speak, you know what I mean? And she's just like, what? Like, okay, I'm gonna try to tell you, like, she was freaking out. Like, I need you guys to understand, I thought my boyfriend was dead. Like, I was just like, can you speak? Okay? And she's just like, oh my gosh, what is your birth dad and birth mom's name? And I was just like, what? I was like, wait, what? So what's going on? Like, I was like, their names Laverne and Antoine. Why are you talking to me about this? Like, I thought something crazy was going on. She's like, no, Tony. And she's still serious, so I'm getting serious, and I'm like, what? You know, like, what? And she's like, oh my gosh, Tony. And I was just like, oh my gosh, Claire, you know what I mean? I'm like, are you about to tell me and my boyfriend are related? Because I've been flirting with my cousins, bitch. Like, I do not want to hear this shit right now. So I like sit on the bed, and I'm just like, what are you about to tell me? And she's like, Tony, I knew you when you were a baby. She's like, I used to babysit you and your brother Paris. And I was like, what? She's like, yes, I used to babysit you in Paris. And she like knew about Paris's fingers because he was born with a mutation from the drugs, and so his fingers had to be cut apart, and like nobody knows about that shit. So there's no way that she would have known unless like she legit knew us when we were babies. She's like, I used to watch you. I was like, what? She's like telling me that she used to dress me and my boyfriend's sister in matching outfits and like do our hair in barrettes and shit. And she like told me that I used to be afraid of lobsters. Like, they would take us out to eat, and I used to hate the lobsters, and I specifically remember like not liking lobsters. So she's like telling me all this, and I'm like, whoa, wait, so me and him aren't related? She's like, what, bitch? No, you're not related. She's like, I knew you, and you were taken away. You were adopted by the white lesbians or whatever. And she's like, I've been praying for you. Like, God, please make sure that this little girl finds a home. She's like, we used to call you TT. And now, lo and behold, 18, 19 years later, you're dating my son. Like, how trippy is that? So I like was, oh my gosh, out of my mind. My boyfriend ended up calling me, and I like told him everything. He was like, wait, what? Like, it was just so trippy, like, to think like I've been around these people my whole life. Like, I've been around my cousins my whole life. I've been around, you know, my boyfriend, who it was just like, oh my gosh, like, we knew each other when we were babies. I don't know how to explain it. It's just super crazy. But I just think I have this necklace. It says, with God, all things are possible. And I wear this bitch every day. You know what I mean? Because I just feel like it's so true. With God, all things are possible. You know, he was just ready. Like, he was with me that night I met my boyfriend. It's like, he was like, Tony, it's time for you to meet your family. Like I said, the moonlight was shining down on him. And me and my boyfriend, that night we met, it was Easter Sunday. So I just know God was there, and he was like, you're ready to meet your family. Because if you think about everything that happened, like I said, me and my best friend were wanting to move to California. I actually ended up staying because my boyfriend got locked up, and I'm not saying him going to jail was a good thing or anything, but it made me stay behind. And if it weren't for that, I would never have flirted with Scott Andrew, you know what I mean? And think about it, his phone was broke, so he couldn't put my number down, because guys are different, you know. If he would have taken my number, he probably would have hit me up. And it's like, thank gosh his phone was broke, because it's like, we're not related, but we're related, you know. So that could have never happened. We never got that close, you know what I mean? And like, then fast forward later to when his phone was broke, he had to use my phone to make a call. I leave, I find out he's Andrew, I go back, I call the phone, you know, just everything that worked out. And then it's like, also with my boyfriend being gone, it was like I had to go spend time with his family on Father's Day. I never celebrated a Father's Day a day in my life, but for whatever reason I celebrated that Father's Day, and 2 and 2 clicked for me to look on Facebook. Like, it's just everything worked out the way it was supposed to, you know what I mean? And so I know if you're in a similar situation or you're wanting to find your birth family, just relax, take your time, you know, it will happen the way it's supposed to. Don't give up hope if that's something that you're looking to do. But that's it for this video. I really do hope you guys enjoyed this series. It was super fun for me to actually talk about this and get my story out there. My next series are going to be a little different. My channel is going to be all kinds of things: beauty, makeup, hair, fitness, health, and then also just talking videos. So please subscribe to my channel, give this video a thumbs up, comment, share, do all that good stuff, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.